Hey there, Patty Dominguez here. Thank you for joining me on this episode 133 of the Positioning to Profit podcast. Today we are talking about some of the key elements to building a personal brand. As you know, and as you may have heard, Elon Musk bought Twitter. It got me thinking, wow, the immense power of a personal brand. He also influenced the crypto market, and I just really marvel at the power of personal brand building and how so many people are influenced and move the needle, move the actions that they're taking based on the people that they follow, and how we can do that for ourselves as well. And so I'm going to demystify some of the things that I see and how it's a lot easier than you think once you have the recipe for building a personal brand. So that's the topic of this episode. But what's really cool about that is that it's totally doable. Yes, you can too build a brand just like Elon Musk has and all these other celebrities and influencers, etc. Also, if you're interested in finding out more about Positioning Club, go to positioningclub.com. It is a new offering that will be introduced next month in May. But in the meantime, we're just putting the final touches on it, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. But you can imagine it's going to include essentials for positioning your brand and your business to profit. So you can find out more, join the waitlist at positioningclub.com. Really excited to bring it to you. Yeah, and with that, let's talk about personal branding in this episode. It's going to be a good one. All right, let's get on with the show. Here we go. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me, because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. Hey there, Patty Dominguez here. Thanks for joining me on this episode. I just want to talk about personal branding and how significant of an aha I got, because with the news that's been going on with Elon Musk buying Twitter, I don't know if you heard, but he is now the owner of Twitter. And I thought it was really interesting when he originally bought, I think it was like 9 or 10% of it. It was all the buzz, people were just buzzing about it. And then what happened was that Vanguard came along and bought a bigger share to make sure that Elon didn't have controlling share of Twitter. So long story short, it came out that he has officially bought Twitter. And what I thought was really interesting is that it was all under this movement of, I want to honor free speech, right? I want the censorship to go away. And I thought that was really interesting because it was very much taking the us versus them approach. And I just think that when you are looking to build a personal brand that stands out, there's specific components of how to do it right. And being okay with contrast is a really big one. It's that us versus them type of mentality. Another one that I think about in that space is Grant Cardone, or Uncle Grant, or Uncle G, as people know him. I mean, he's a real estate mogul, and I hear a lot of people who love him and then other people really hate him. And here he is with 10 million followers. He doesn't really care because he's winning. Creating a personal brand, and everything that's just kind of surfaced with Elon Musk is kind of taking that same approach of like the us versus them, creating that incredible contrast, and then saying, hey, this is for free speech. This is to end the censorship that's happening. So people are gathering under that message, right? The let's rally together to make it happen. And I think that is such an exciting part of why his brand was standing out. At the same time, Doge token also on the crypto side of things increased dramatically since the news that he bought Twitter. So anyway, long story short, it just goes to show you the immense power of a personal brand. So with that, I wanted to just do a little bit of a recap of how this personal brand idea is so important. And I also got more awareness because even though I talk about positioning is not something that people necessarily would say, oh, I want to know what my positioning is. What they're saying is, hey, I want to know how to grow my personal brand. So really understand that these 3 tips that I'm going to share are all part of this positioning stance, the positioning strategy that you want to have in place. And so when you talk about building your personal brand, when you're doing it right, it really does become the greatest asset that you can leverage. And you alone are the only one who can build that personal brand because there's only one of you. Okay. And so when done right, a personal brand can really earn the respect and equity over time when you're really consistent. I mean, when you take a look at the way that people have leveraged your personal brand, it has been just epic to see how people can leverage personal brand building using social media, influence, video, book writing, etc. And so really when you see the potential, it's just really interesting. I was on a copywriting call and the copywriter was talking about his entrepreneurial journey, about going through a lot of different woes, trials and tribulations. And so they had introduced a new product. And it was with the help of a celebrity. It was an 80s celebrity who had a cult following that they were able to really grow that particular brand to almost 8-figure business. And so what's really interesting is that here's this cult classic celebrity whose name they're able to leverage. He has a personal brand. And it's just amazing the power of what a personal brand can do. And so there's some things here that, yes, we've heard about the Kardashians and all these other celebrities. You don't have to be Cristiano Ronaldo. You don't have to be Gary Vaynerchuk, because let's face it, those are really outliers in this whole personal branding ecosystem, right? In the population of people that have grown personal brands, they're very much outliers. But what can we do as small entrepreneurs? And I go to the idea that you can earn the following of just 1,000 true fans. So this is a big Kevin Kelly blog post that he wrote, and where he talked about it's just attracting 1,000 true fans. And so when I bring that up to people, when I bring it up to my clients, it really helps to kind of bring down this notion that you have to have 1 million fans. You absolutely don't. You can build a multiple 6-figure, even 7-figure business plus by doing this in terms of earning the following 1,000 true fans, but real fans, So the other part of it is I wanted to go back to is when you're building a personal brand, it's about being okay with contrast. So again, going back to the example of Grant Cardone, or I remember in the 90s when I was in college and hearing Howard Stern and him being the shock jock and people really hating him, and then other people really loved him and people were tuning in because they wanted to hear, I wonder what he's going to say next. So he was very much okay with contrast and pushing the envelope and really standing out. So part of that personal brand being so powerful is not that you have to be a shock jock, is that you have to be okay with contrast, with holding a position. What is the position? What is the thing that you stand for? And as it relates to standing for something like Elon Musk, in the recent news of his acquisition of Twitter, he's very much standing for something where he is talking about the right to free speech and the movement of saying enough with the censorship. He's standing for something. And so the idea here is that now you can broadcast your message because there's so many examples of the power of personal branding. And I always talk about it in this way. Like if I were to ask you, what is the 1 or 2 words that you want to be known for? What would you say? Because for me, if somebody is talking about business coaching, I'd want people to know that I am a positioning expert. That's what I can help people with. And it's either 1, 2, 3 words, that key phrase of what you want to be known for. Really put that into context. The other thing is, in order to do this, in order to broadcast a message, whether it is on socials, on social media channels, or on podcasts, or sharing your personal story, stepping into your expertise, writing articles, being consistent with all this activity is only as good as the ability for you to clearly and succinctly relay what it is that you do in a way that that stands out. And so I really want to invite you to really get that elevator pitch nailed down. And I don't know, can you guys hear the ambulance right outside my window? But the idea here is if you need help with that, really invite you to go to Niche and Pitch. It's a free course. There's free training videos in there on how to position yourself for maximum impact. So it goes into an introduction on how to demystify positioning for your personal brand. And if you've ever felt that your message is just not hitting the mark, then this is absolutely perfect for you. And it has to do with positioning, of course. And please do understand that branding is different than positioning, is that branding people associate with your website, your logo, and all these other things that to me don't matter if you don't have your positioning in place. So it's completely different. And so this content that you're going to see in the Niche and Pitch is foundational in order for you to craft your message that stands out, because you want to move into the status of going from that commoditized coach or commoditized consultant or commoditized entrepreneur to really the prolific pro that you're meant to be. So really invite you to take a look at that at nicheandpitch.com. And really more than anything, I'm just pointing out this idea of like, there is no better time than really understanding how building a personal brand is really essential. Remember that it doesn't take millions and millions. It's just earning the following of 1,000 true fans. It's also being okay with contrast, standing for something, and then being consistent with it on the channels that you choose to be on. So I hope this is helpful for you. As always, reach out on socials, semi-socials, or if there's anything I can do, reach out, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks. Hey there, thanks for checking out this episode of Positioning to Profit. Please leave a review if you have gained a benefit from this episode. I appreciate it greatly, and I will give you a shout out on the show as well. I so appreciate the ratings and reviews. Okay, also for the positioning extravaganza, head over to positioningtoprofit.com. There's lots of goodies over there. It's a treasure chest of freebies as well as beautiful courses that will help you to establish your category of one and move your brand forward. And again, connect with me over on socials or on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on the socials. So I hope to connect with you there, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon.